By the end of this video, you will not only know why gold made a major high within the last couple of weeks, but you'll also know what's coming up next. We'll look at potential price targets and we'll also look at future turning points. So stay tuned. Let's start off then with the seasonality view of gold. Seasonality pattern is basically the average annual path of gold. We've got this data going back 50 years now, so you can see that typically from round about mid-June, gold, if you average it over the last 50 years, will head up, and it will head up into October. So that's the first thing. Trading with seasonality gives you some great opportunities. And you also notice, by the way, back end of February, it tends to be quite bearish into the middle of March. And then, of course, we quite often see this quite big move here at the end. But that's over the last 50 years. It doesn't mean it's going to work every time, but it does give us an advantage, a bit of a roadmap into what's going on. Now, with that in mind, if we pop the current year's data on board there, you can see this is what gold has done. It had this sideways move, it consolidated. For those of you who know how to read charts, you'll see that there's a flat top and there's effectively higher lows. That's very bullish. And then we got the breakout here. And you can see how this really coincided with this move here. But if you got out there, there based on seasonality, you'd have missed out on this last bit here. So how would we know this was a major move coming in? There's a few things to talk about here, but basically we can see how we get to this point. We can identify that it was coming in later, and also it was quite a big euphoric move up, that last part of it. Okay, so you can see we can definitely get a significant advantage by using seasonality, but now I want to take this a layer further by bringing in our proprietary histogram system, which is all about cycles that are within, it's the DNA of each individual market. And what I want to show you here is the histograms beneath this. This is not volume. These are where cycles come together. And basically where we get peaks like this, you can see we're seeing significant trend changes like this. And we had this very big peak forewarning us that something was about to come up. And by the way, there you can see a future peak. So that's the whole point. These are known in advance, and you can see there's a very important cycle coming up there as well in mid-January. Now, there aren't going to be other ones before that, as you can see there. So you can't just rely on that. But the idea is we trade into these cycles, and we look to see where these events are coming together, and then we protect positions accordingly. But there's a bit more to this. In fact, let's just look at these histograms a little bit further. So here's the next one we were looking at, and this is what really gave us the big clues. We run different sort of levels of this DNA analysis and different types of cycles, and here you can see very clearly a low there, just that sort of low there, this high here, and this one here was one of the strongest sets we're seeing. So you can see how important this is here. And then we can fine tune this again, and we can take it down to daily cycles. So these are the daily cycles, and you can see some future ones coming up. I'm filming this today on the 31st of October, and you can see how this cycle here on the 17th really came out there and brought that high in. So what we do with all this stuff, this takes quite a bit of analysis, and I use different cycle sets. So we put all this in our market timing report, and this is what subscribers to the report saw. These were the key dates that they were given. This was published at the very end of September. They were told to look out. First of all, October is the most bearish month for gold seasonally. This suggested a potential important top. October is a volatile month and could see an important top, so I made it really clear that we were coming into something, and we fine-tuned it then using these dates. So that those histogram peaks there that you're seeing basically had us on alert for very specific days to be aware of what was going on there. So this is all part of the system. So it's all about like some degree of advanced radar system that's keeping you forewarned and prepared. So next up, these are the same dates. So look at these dates here. These are the dates here, 3rd, 9th, 17th, 23rd, 28th. So this is where they came out, you see, and you can see that how these have worked. And the key point was this date here, the 17th, and I'll tell you why in a minute. There's more to this. And you can see there was a low on the 9th, there was a low here on the 3rd, 17th was important, a little further thing there, and then just this last couple of days we've seen this low sort of playing out. So these dates are given in advance and you can be prepared. But this is why we knew it was so important, because this is a key level. This is a bit of geometry that we teach. This is we put this chart in the market timing report. We also teach how to use this stuff in our market timing report trading course. Regardless, what you do need to know, though, is that this was a very important price level because it was also tying up with a key timing point. Remember, I put in the narrative there is a very important timing cycle coming in as well. So this is how we put it all together. We start off with the seasonality. We fine-tune it with the weekly cycles and the other cycles that we use, and then we can bring it down to an individual day. So basically the point there was that our followers were tightening their stops very close to that target. There were other reasons for this price target there as well, but I just wanted to give you a quick overview. So with that in mind, what's next for gold? Well, we have clearly got an important top. As I filmed this, we're back over here, just hovering around the 4,000 mark, having been up to almost 4,400. So we've come back down here. Now, the main Fibonacci retracements there are showing the first level there is the 0.236 level. That sits all the way down at 3,424. So if we do see a major sell-off, we could well come down to here. Remember, seasonality suggests that gold seasonally can be a bit more bullish at the back of the year. So if we came down to here quite quickly and then headed up with the seasonality time cycles, then we'd be in a situation to potentially, look at, see if we can manage our risk to go, to buy this. So, but the next level, 2822, and then the 50% level down here, and the Fibonacci level, the major 61.8 Fibonacci level sits at this level. You can see how many points we've got here, and you can see how this one worked here and this one here. So those are macro things. It doesn't mean we're going to carry on all the way down here. We could head a lot higher. So that's really it. That's how we put it all together. That's what we're looking at now. There, as I mentioned, as you saw in one of the earlier slides, there is an important timing point coming up in mid-January 2026. Be aware for that. We'll be able to fine-tune that with the latest report as we approach that time period. So I hope you found this useful. Basically, we've just released the November edition of the Market Timing Report. In that, we're covering a whole series of geopolitical things, as well as a key market pattern that's playing out in the S&P 500. And that will tell us how that market pattern plays out, will tell us whether the market's going higher or whether we're at a critical point. And that is unfolding day by day. So come and join us at the Market Timing Report. If you haven't tried it before, there's a 28-day trial for new subscribers, money-back guarantee. And not only that, we have a whole host of other things. We have the seasonality platform that you saw earlier on, and we have the Market Timing Report trading course for those who want to learn how to find these exact timing time and price points and to manage the risks. So I hope you find this useful. And if this is for you, welcome on board. But regardless, I wanted to do this video to show you that there are some important support levels coming up, how that timing kicked in, and there's also, there's also going to be an important point in January, although there are some key points coming up before that as well. So thank you very much.